For the past 10 years, many of us have heard of Falun Gong, the practice, the beliefs, and also the struggle they are having within China. Today, I'm happy to have with me spokesperson for the Falun Gong in Canada, Mr. Joel Chipkar, who will hopefully be able to shed more light on this spiritual phenomenon and the issues it faces today. Joel, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Chrissy.
So Joel, for those of us who don't know, what exactly is Falun Gong and what are the basics of the beliefs?
Well, Falun Gong is what's called a full cultivation practice for the mind and the body. Back in China, in ancient China, these teachings that we know today, like Tai Chi or Qigong, were used to not only strengthen the body energy, but also to unlock the wisdom in the mind in order for people to reach their spiritual perfection. Much like many of the ancient teachers like the Buddha or Lao Tzu, who brought in Taoism, these were very profound, powerful teachings. And Falun Gong is also based in this essence of this belief that in order to unlock your enlightenment, you have to assimilate to universal principles, principles that make the universe kind of go round. And Falun Gong believes that the essence of every molecule in the world, everything that we see, like this table or a tree or a chair, has a characteristic. And each characteristic of each molecule is what the Chinese call Zhen Shen Ren, or truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Like a tree doesn't know how to hate. You know, a bird doesn't know how to be jealous. They just are. And Falun Gong believes that the human being as well can assimilate once again closer to this universal characteristic of truth, compassion, and forbearance. And once we do, that we will automatically unlock our spiritual awareness in our enlightenment. So Falun Gong itself is a way of life. People incorporate these principles of Zhen Shen Ren, truth, compassion, and forbearance, in their everyday life. So we as practitioners try to eliminate our selfishness. You know, we try to eliminate our anger and learn what it means to really truly be a good person. And the beauty of the practice itself is its practicality. Like, although it's steeped in so many thousands of years of culture, it's good for today. Like, there's no worship or ritual, there's no dogma, there's no money involved. Practitioners can come and go as they please. There's no membership lists. So it's a very free and very empowering teaching that helps people in their daily lives on a daily basis.
So it doesn't sound like something that would be a threat to anyone. So why is the Chinese government so against it?
Well, in order to answer that question, I have to give you a bit of history on China and also on the Communist Party. China is a country steeped in 5,000 years of culture, and in this 5,000 years, the entire society believed that gods existed. All the art that you see in China, everything, all the artifacts, not only from China, but cultures around the world, these artifacts were created to exalt gods, to pay homage to gods. All the ancient dance was done to say thanks to gods. Like, people all believed in gods. And with this came tremendous faith and tremendous spirit. People had spirit and faith and power. When the Communist Party came into China, it was Mao Zedong and his gang who imported communism from the West into China, and basically, through a violent campaign, initiated this new communist teaching into China. And with it came the number one principle that in order to suppress the people, you have to eliminate their spirit. You have to kill their spirit. You have to eliminate their faith. And this is exactly what the communist government did. In 1966, they started what was called the Cultural Revolution. And in the Cultural Revolution, they basically eliminated in people's minds that gods existed, that gods did not exist, and that the Communist Party was God, that the Communist Party could control heaven and earth, and the Communist Party was great, glorious, and correct. So you don't need a God. All you need to do is put your faith in communism, in the Communist Party. And I'm not making this up. This was actually in the Communist Manifesto. So in this time, from 1966 right up until the end of the mid-70s, the communist government eliminated people's faith by violent campaigns, by destroying hundreds of thousands of temples and shrines, and by indoctrinating in people that there is no such thing as God. So now you have inside China a very atheistic faith, a very atheistic society, which, who have their religions. They have Buddhism and Taoism and Christianity. But these religions are forced to swear allegiance over the Communist Party, over their belief in God. So every religion in China today is controlled by the Communist Party. If you're not, then you're banned a heretical organization and you're persecuted. But when the Cultural Revolution ended in the late 70s, the government started getting concerned because after eliminating the faith of people, they started to get sick. They started to get diseases. It's a very common principle that if your mind is peaceful, your body will follow. If your mind is plagued, or if you have no faith, you're going to start getting sick. And in the 1980s, the communist government started letting back into China some of these spiritual treasures from the past, like Tai Chi and Qigong, that used to be full cultivation practices for the mind and the body, but now they were only for healing and fitness. They were only for the body. So the regime did not allow the spiritual aspect, they only allowed the physical aspect. And in the 1980s, you had a huge Qigong boom, and millions upon millions of people started to practice Qigong and started to become fit. In 1992, the founder of Falun Gong, Mr. Li Hongzhi, debuted Falun Gong into China. And Falun Gong once again brought not only the exercise regime to help healing and fitness, but also the cultivation practice for the mind. So he brought back into China the full cultivation practice of mind and body. And then from 1992 to 1994, it was very respected in China. It was awarded by the actual communist regime. It was supported by the regime. It was endorsed by the regime in order for the founder to give classes all over China. It was awarded the Star Qigong School in 92 and 93. And the Public Security Bureau, which is like the FBI, congratulated Falun Gong for bringing back the crime-fighting virtues into society. Wow. It spread across China faster than any spiritual teaching in history, until 1994 came around. And when 1994 came around, the communist government approached the founder and they said, we want to start charging money for this teaching because it's so powerful. We want to start charging money because it's popular. And the founder said, no, this is a cultivation practice. It's for the spirituality of the people, and it's not to be capitalized. It's not for sale. So he distanced himself from the arm of the communist government that was kind of overseeing Tai Chi and Qigong. And at that point, the communist government started to attack him. So from 94 to 1999, these abuse continued to happen. And in 1999, the communist leader at the time, Jiang Zemin, ordered a violent persecution against Falun Gong when his survey found that over 100 million Falun Gong practitioners were practicing in China. That's about 1/12 of every Chinese person in China, including high-ranked Communist Party members and their families. So experts say he was very politically insecure and jealous, and he used Falun Gong as a political tool to kind of fluff his feathers and show fear to his political circle and also the rest of China. And from 1999 until today, every human rights organization in the world, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the United Nations, have documented the atrocities happening inside China. Over 100 million people are forced into exile. Hundreds of thousands are being tortured in labor camps today. And tens of thousands of people have been murdered in police custody. So today, Falun Gong is the #1 human rights atrocity happening in China today.
Well, many say that the Chinese government cracked down on Falun Gong because they were afraid that spiritual practice like Falun Gong could overtake the government, something which had been done in previous dynasties.
Yeah, I'd say that this is really a moot point. It doesn't make a difference. There's an old saying, don't think about why a crazy person does a crazy thing, or it will drive you crazy too. The issue is, whatever the excuse the Communist Party came up with, there is no excuse for the murder and torture and defamation of millions of people just because they choose to practice their faith of choice, or just because they choose to stand up to protect not only their Chinese constitutional right to believe in their faith, but also their human right to believe in their faith.